In this video tutorial, we will discuss the difference between proximity inside and proximity outside through utilizing the ARDL Module Builder. First, let's go up top. You can see I've already loaded two models, my heart model and my arrow model. In order to set up my interactions and my rules, we click on the model and we go over here and we add a rule. First, let's discuss what proximity inside is. Proximity inside is when I bring one paddle closer to another paddle, it is going to result in whichever trigger I choose. Proximity outside, on the other hand, is as I move one paddle farther away from another paddle, it will also result in another one of these triggers. So let's set up our proximity inside. You can see I click proximity inside right here. I'm actually going to have the model be resized. So since right now it starts off at a default of 100%, I'm actually going to have it when paddle number 1 comes close to paddle number 2, that is actually going to resize 300% bigger than it starts out at 100%. We always have to make sure that if we would like to proportionally resize the correct way, that we have to make sure that our X, Y, and Z percentages are all the same. If we only choose to do 1, it's only going to get bigger in one axis, not all three axes. And this over here is where we can actually choose the distance we would like it triggered. We will start off with 160 just so I can actually show you an example. And let's set up our proximity outside. I will actually add a new rule. I will add proximity outside. So when my heart model gets too far away from our arrow model, it's actually going to resize again. We're actually going to make it 50% smaller than it starts off as. So now let's review these triggers just to make sure that we understand exactly what's going on. So right now I have my heart assigned to paddle 1, and I have my arrow assigned to paddle number 3, and we will switch that to 2 real quick. Alrighty, so now we can see that when paddle number 2 comes in proximity to paddle number 1, it's going to resize once 300% bigger than when it starts off at 100%. And we're going to go down to our next trigger. You can see when proximity outside. We can see when our paddle number 1 gets too far away from paddle 2, that it's going to resize once, and it's going to decrease down to 50% of its original size. We can see that here is our result setting, so we can see that the heart model is the one that's actually going to get resized. And we can, over here, we can actually select which model we would like it to react with. Since for this case we only have 2 models, it will be reacting with the arrow model. Right down here is our trigger when within. It's all in millimeters, but we can actually choose the distance that we would like it to react to. First, let's see what it looks like in mouse mode now before we start discussing the differences between distance. You can see, since I'm running in mouse mode, that all the paddles start off next to each other. So we can see that since this paddle right here, paddle number 2, is close to paddle number 1, it increased its size in 300%. And now we can see as we grab paddle number 2, slowly move it away from paddle number 1, it decreases inside. So proximity inside, proximity outside, proximity inside, proximity outside. Now we can go back in, we can actually start messing with our trigger distances to see what the result is. So first we will actually increase our proximity outside. Since it's at 160, let's just increase it to 300 millimeters, and let's see what that just did right there. You can see now that before, when we moved it this far away, that it already resized. Now, since we increased it to 300 instead of 160, we have to move it a little bit farther away, then it resizes. Proximity outside. Now when we get within a certain proximity of 160, it is going to resize again. And that is the difference between proximity inside and proximity outside through using the ARDL Module Builder. And the great part is, this is just one trigger result. We will touch on all the other trigger results in later videos.